Hello and welcome to Blender Masterclass by Syed Zeerak and Gillani. Today we will be discussing Lecture 2. So what is in the Lecture 2? Today will be a basic lecture which might seem basic to you, but it is not going to be very basic. The first thing which we are going to discuss is how to save files. And the second thing which we are going to discuss is all the controls on Blender. So today you are not going to be limited to what a mouse and keyboard can do on Blender. We are going to learn that what all the icons and all the things mentioned on Blender mean. So let's go to Blender and check out. Let me mention to you once again that we are using Blender version 2.9 This is the latest version yet available on Blender website. So you are learning the latest version. So let's make a new general file. I might have told you before how to save a .blend file, but today I am going to tell you that how to go further. So let's say that you have to save a .blend file. You just press, wait a minute, only a minute, let me turn on the show off. Now you can see what I am pressing on keyboard. So to save a .blend file, I just press Ctrl plus S. So I press Ctrl and then S, and a menu pops up in which I can save it anywhere. So I will make a new folder by clicking this button, and then I will name it using my keyboard. Let's say I'll name it Lecture 2, and I hate caps locks, so Lecture 2. So in Lecture 2, what I have just done is the mistake I have just made is the mistake which a lot of people make. I just made a new folder, pressed enter, and then again pressed enter and thought that it would enter the folder, but the menu disappeared, which means it had saved the file somewhere. So we made the folder on desktop, which means the folder has been created on desktop, but the file has been saved on desktop too. This can get you into a very big problem when you are working on a complex file. When you're working on a complex file, if your file is saved here on desktop and you have not checked it, all the textures would be saved here. All the cache of any physics which you are using will be saved here, and that would, once you have saved all and thought out that I am done with the project and I will do the rest tomorrow, you will close the Blender, and you will see that you have a desktop full of things that you don't even know what are. You will try to cope with them by selecting them and putting them into one folder, and then opening Blender and opening the .blend file from that folder. But what will happen is that you will have only the basic mesh. You will not have your textures, you will not have your physics, you will have nothing, because Blender has linked all those physics and textures on your desktop. Now you have moved them. Blender has not thought out about that what if someone moves their files. So keep it in mind that whenever you have to save your file. Now I will save it again. Okay, I will delete it, and then I will say Ctrl S, and it will save it again at the same directory. Now I will delete it, and I will close this window. I will again open the Blender 2.9 and make a new file which is general. In general, I will press Ctrl S and then move to Lecture 2, double click it, and once I have entered the folder, now I can press enter and it will save it in this folder. Otherwise it will not. So now we have moved through the saving file. Now let's start with what everything means here. So what everything means, these are the volumes. Volumes means all the hard drives which are available on your computer, or partitions on your hard drives, are shown here. This is your Windows drive. So what Windows drive mean is that the home, desktop, documents, downloads, music, all of these folders are linked here. Then are your favorites. If you haven't added anything into favorite, then nothing will show in favorite. And I am using Blender for almost 2 years now, and I haven't added a single thing into the favorites folder, as you can see. Then we have a recent tab. What does recent tab is a very helpful tab. It protects you from going here and there and then finding the folders and then saving files into them. You can just enter into a folder from here. You have just clicked on it and you are already in that folder. You just clicked on shower 4 and you are in shower 4. You clicked on shower 3, you are in shower 3. These are my recents because I'm working on some projects in this. I press on cache fluid. Now see, cache fluid has all these folders. If you had saved it on desktop, it will save all these on this desktop, and this is showing some files which are not folders. This has a lot of files. It is almost 8 GB folder. Okay, so keep in mind that whenever you have to save a file, open that. Once you have created the folder from this button, open that folder by using double click. Once you have opened that, then click on save blender file or press enter. So we have moved through this section. Now you can assess from how it looks. This means one step back, this means one step ahead, and this also means one step back. This means undo, okay, or refresh. No, it doesn't mean undo, it means refresh. So if you have it is lecture 2. So let me go to desktop and I go to lecture 2, and once I've gone to lecture 2, I make a new text file here. So let's suppose it is a texture file. So when I will go back to Blender, it will not show anything, but we know that in lecture 2 we have one texture file which we just said that it is a text document. So to get that, you press the refresh, or you go back and then come again. It will not show, so you just have to do this. Yes, I'm sorry, it will show, but the text document is not supported by Blender. Blender does not open text files, so this is why it is not showing it. I have already used this button. It means create new file. I have already you can also assess that this shows the path of the file. From this you can search files. This is how you view the files, and this is now here we see. Now if we click on text files, then we can see that there is a new text document, but we had unchecked text files because they are irrelevant, so we are not seeing the text file. These are settings and these are not related to us. So here we save our Blender file. Let's name it lecture. Okay, lecture 2. Press enter and save Blender file. Now we have saved this Blender file into that folder called lecture 2. So here we have a lecture 2, and let's delete this. Let's go back to Blender. Now let's come. We have discussed only these 4 buttons and nothing else. So let's discuss what all of this else means. These are this area is the organizing area. So here we have some collections in which we have our objects and meshes. Let's say that this is our cube. So when we uncheck that, you can see that it becomes it no longer remains blue. When you select that, it becomes blue. So if you want to hide this cube from render port, it will not hide it from rendering, but it will hide it from 3D viewport. So you can either just select this cube and then press H, and it will hide it, and you can unhide it by pressing Alt and H, and it will unhide it. Or you can just go here and press this, and it has hidden it. Now you press this again, this eye icon here, this eye type of icon, and it unhides it. So we can do with the camera, and the same we can do with the light. This is the list view, okay, and this shows us that what we are seeing here. So there are a lot of types of data which we can display here. This is search. This is again we select what we show from a collection which is selected here, and this we make a new collection from here. Collections are very helpful tool in Blender when we import .gltf files and .fbx files. These files are not a single file when they get imported. Let me show you. Let's delete this and let's go and import a .gltf file. Don't get confused by what I am doing with this .gltf file. I will describe it all. I'm just going to show that what shows up in this area when you import a complex file and what are these collections for. So I go to Shah. Yes, go to Shah and go to assets, and then we have a lot of things here. Let's go to the bathroom and import the scene. It will take a bit to import the scene as it is a very heavy scene. So what we have here is an asset of mine which I created for a project a day or two before. So this is just a room, and you will be saying that he's a dumb guy. He's showing a room, a box to us because you know a lot now. So let me, so here we have our environment. This is basically a bathroom which I created for a project, and let's select it all, size it, and then grab it to next. Take it back here. Don't get all bogged down by what I am doing. Just let me explain to you what I am doing. So here. Okay. So we go in there now. Yes. So you can see that it is complex to go inside. Yes, now you can see that it is a scene which has this mirror, but it is not showing you your face because you are not sitting in front of it, but it will show you once it will be implemented. So there is a sink, there are some bottles, there is textured walls, and then we have some spotlights on the roof. There is yes, there is a toilet paper, and this was customers' demand to put a toilet cleaner here. So here we have our shower. This is our towel. So what you can see here that it is showing as one object, but when you select this or select one thing here, you click on this, you don't select everything. So to select everything, you just go here and create a new collection, so and grab it and put it into the new collection. So what I have done is duplicated it. So I select and delete the hierarchy. Yes. So now control that. Yes, control that. I'm sorry. What I will do is go here, select all, shift this, select all, and then go shift, control, and unselect camera. And this, now you can go and press M. It will give you a new collection. In collection, you just say bathroom scene, and in bathroom scene you press enter, go and again press enter, and now you can see that our object is in bathroom scene. So what happens that now if I click one object, I still won't select the whole scene, but if I want to select the whole scene, I just go to bathroom scene, right click and select objects. You see, right click and then I select objects. When I select objects, I can get I can select all of the objects in one or in 3 clicks. But if I don't have my collections, then I have to select this, then press shift this, and there are thousands of objects inside, because even those tubes are made out of 2 to 3 objects, and that will take you almost one whole night to select this whole scene. And when you come to deleting it, it could be a mess again. So you can just delete hierarchy from here and it will delete the whole collection. So now you know that what this area shows. Let's add our cube once again back. Yes, so what I will do is upload the scene I just used, the bathroom scene I just used while showing you all of this on the website, so you can get that too, and you can import it just like I imported. I will be telling you how to import it in a minute or two, or whatever time it takes us to go there. So let's press Shift and A and then add a cube. Now once we have added cube, we have gone too far because the bathroom scene was a big. So where are you? Yes, so here it is. We're in render. Go back. Okay, so now what do we have? We have known that what does this area mean. Now come to this area. What does this mean? So you go to this first tab and this shows what our mouse is doing. Okay, so what our mouse is doing, that when by select box, it means that you can select either box, either faces, either one face, the front face, either both faces, either intersective faces or invisible faces. So this might be a lot for you right now, but you know it, that where you can select all of these. You will have to use them in upcoming lectures. So when we have selected this box, when we drag our mouse while we have clicked the left click, it creates a box like selection tool. When you leave it, it selects everything which is inside that selected box. Other things in this is this option. In options you have transforms. So what happens when we select all of these? What happens when we grab and move anything on x-axis? Only the object moves. Its origin does not move, its location does not move, and if it has any parent objects, they don't move too. But if we have selected all of them, then all of these things will start to move. I am not going to do that because it will create a big mess, and we don't want to do that right now. So in workspace mode, we are in object mode. We can go to edit mode. In edit mode, I will be telling you what we can do in edit mode in the next lecture. And we can go in pose mode. Pose mode is for armature. Sculpt mode, you might have seen people making faces in Blender. It is in sculpt mode. Vertex paint, it shows you how in this mode you can go and paint from vertex to vertex. Weight paint is a method when you are using particle physics. You can weight paint some area, and that area will either populate. You can choose to either populate that area or not to populate that area. Yes, it might be a lot of things to absorb, but keep listening and just keep absorbing it. I'm just telling you that what's where. The texture paint, by texture paint we create new textures here and we paint objects. It is not like the paint we get in Windows. This is not like this paint app. It used to be in Windows XP, but it is not anything like that. So then there is grease pencil edit mode. For grease pencil edit mode, I recommend you to have a tablet, a drawing tablet, but we are not even going to touch grease pencil edit mode because it is out of our scope. It belongs nowhere to modeling. Then we have grease pencil, and all of these other things are related to grease pencil. These are out of our context, so we will remain in object mode right now. Custom properties, we can add any custom properties here. These add-ons, we will talk about these add-ons. If I will talk about these add-ons right now, you will get all bogged down by them. So then we come to this. When we come to this and check this out, it says render properties. What do you mean by rendering a scene? By rendering a scene, you mean that if you have an object here, and let's say we press 0. When we press 0, we can see through this window. We have this window. What is this window? This is your camera. This is what your camera is seeing. You go to your camera view by pressing 0. So you go back from your camera view and wow, and here is your cube. So what we are going to do is, let's see the cube through the camera. How will we do that? To set your camera to view To set your camera to any view which is being viewed on the 3D viewport right now, you just press Ctrl Alt and then 0, and the camera automatically comes to the scene which you were seeing. So now it is seeing what I was seeing in the 3D viewport. To render this, we have an object in our 3D viewport, and that's all. We have nothing else. How we change these things, these objects, to pictures and videos, which is we can change these things and video to pictures and videos by pressing render from here and then say render image. When we render the image, then you can see that there is a vague picture of a cube here because we don't have lighting here. There's a light. We selected a light. Grab the light next and bring it here. Now let's see what happens when you press F12. Yeah, you can see the cube a bit more visible. You can check that the cube is a bit more visible here. So this is how you change objects and meshes from objects and meshes, 3D objects, to pictures, 2D objects, and videos, 2D moving objects. Okay, so there are in the scene, in the render properties, you have three type of render engines. One is Eevee, second is Workbench, and third is Cycles. Cycles is too hard on graphic cards and CPUs, so I don't recommend you using Cycles, as it will in some cases blow your graphic card. I have literally melted more than 2 graphic cards while using Cycles. Eevee is the most optimized rendering engine of Blender. It produces high quality results, and it does not even put a lot of load on your computer and graphic card. It won't melt your graphic card while you are trying to make grass. So we will always choose Eevee for our scenes. In sampling is not much related to us when we are using Eevee. You just close the sampling. Ambient occlusion, what it does is it adds distance to the it adds the sense of distance to your camera. And then there are a lot of options, but we are talking about what are these icons saying. So this tells us, this icon leads us to render properties. What render properties do? What are render properties? I've just explained to you that render properties let you select the render engine. What is a render engine? Render engines are different type of rendering mechanisms. Yeah, there are different type of rendering mechanisms. You can choose out of 3 of them. The workbench is no one even discusses workbench. Workbench is the worst of all. Cycles is the best of all, but Cycles is the best of all visually, but it is too heavy on PC, too heavy on graphic cards. It will melt your CPU and do things to it. Eevee is the most optimized, and because it is most optimized and produces almost the same results as Cycles, so we will consider this as our render engine, and it is almost the best render engine here. Then we move to output properties. Output properties are related to what your camera outputs. So the resolution of your camera right now is 1920 by 1080, which you mean 1080p HD. Aspect ratio is 1:1, which means that it is not 1:1. It is 1920 by 1080 right now. So these are the frames. Frames let you animate objects. So frames are divisions of time. So if our cube, I'm just explaining that. I am not expecting you to learn this. I am just telling you what frames mean. So don't think that I am expecting from you that you learn animation from that. Let's say that our cube is here on our frame 0. So you press I and add a keyframe here, and when you move to frame 20, your cube goes from here to grab on Y and goes to here. Okay, so what we have done, and press Yes, what we have done is animated our cube from here to here, here to here, here to here. At 0th time frame, these are your frames. 0, 10, 20, 30. You can zoom it in and it will even show you 1 frame difference, but 10 frame difference is good because it's always 10 frames which you skip. So at 0 time frame, I just told the blender that at 0 time frame my cube will be at this point, but at 20th time frame my cube will be at this point. So what are frames and what do this mean? Frame start and end. We mean that we will start rendering the scene from first frame, and we will end the rendering of scene at frame 250, and the difference between each frame will be 1. So it will render each and every frame. You can skip frames by saying 2. So it will skip 1 frame and then it will divide it in things. It will be rendering the even frames and skipping the odd frames. Like it will skip 1, then render 2, skip 3, render 4, skip 5, render 6, skip 7, render 8. So this is how it will be going. So we set it back to 1 so that I don't have any problem later. Frame rate 60 is the most smoothest rate of frame rate which Blender can produce, and 23.98 is the most glitchy type of, or you can say the least quality frame rate. But it does not imply anything, because if the quality of product which you have created inside the blender is good and your frame rate setting is proper, then 24 frames per second will be light on your computer and it will create no difference in rendering. Either you are rendering at 60 fps or 24 fps, not much difference. Yeah, if you are keen observer, very keen observer, then it will create some difference for you. So then we have our stereoscopy. We will discuss that in further once we go further. What is output? In output, it lets you select that in what directory you want to save the output file which will come out. Okay, so then we have saving. It will save with file extensions. It will save, if you check mark this, it will save cache result too. Then we have our file format. We have a lot of file formats here. These are movie containers. These produce movies or videos. All of these all of these are image picture formats. Okay, so we have right now selected PNG. What does this color mean? Color means black and white. RGB and RGBA produces the best results for me. So color depth is 8 and 16. It is selected. I have right now selected 8, so it goes a little bit light on your computer. Compression is 15. I don't know what compression is. I'm a little bad at math. So metadata. You don't have. You will be a pro at Blender and you won't ever need to check all of these post processing and metadata. Yeah, post processing sometimes, but not the metadata. So let's move to the next one. Next one says view layer properties. So these are good what are selected. So once you will be doing some very complex job, or we will be going through a very complex lecture, we will go through and when we will be doing volumetric lighting, then we will check some things from here. But right now, if I'm going to tell you this, you are going to get all bogged down by this. Then we will go to scene properties. Scene properties mean see that we have gravity turned on here. You can go here, you can change the units, what unit system you want. You want metric or imperial unit scale, that what one means for you. You can check yes, here you have rotation, length, mass. All of these are units of these which you can change. And then we have some other properties which we will also be using in further lectures. Then we have world properties. What is our world? This is our world. What we are moving, in which we are putting objects, of our own choice. This is our world. So these are the properties of our world. we can right now explain to you this viewport display. So what is viewport? This is our viewport display, this in which our 3D things are being shown. I might have told you about these object properties tab. So what is object properties? It tells you that first of all what is open is transform. So in transform it is telling you that it is right now, our object is right now on minus 10.664 meters on y-axis from this origin. So whenever it measures something, it measures any, whenever you have to make a measurement you have to take a reference. So for this point here is taken as reference. So this cube is minus 10.664 meter away from the center, from the reference point, so which means that we are on negative side. If we will go to that side, it will go, if we move here, let's see, when I am moving this, the y properties are moving. So on 20 I am on the positive side of 11, I have on the positive side of the viewport, and I am 11.551 meter away from this center. All the other things we will be discussing in further lectures when we will need them. I am just telling you that what these means. What is this? This will let you add modifiers. Modifiers are basically what makes your, what lets you make your scenes complex, or what lets you earn from your Blender, because if you are not going to use these, then you are always gonna remain on adding blocks and circles, and then nothing will happen. So modifiers make our work very easy, plus it let us do things, it let us do amazing things which you see on VFX and stuff, and this is where they build it all. These are the things which are used to build VFX, monsters, and everything you see on TV. Then we go to particle properties. Whenever you are making, you see artificial grass, trees, they have used particle properties. So particle properties show up here. These are the physics properties. So in physics property you might be able to see that there is a cloth, and then there is a fluid, soft body. So all of these things let you create physics for your objects inside the Blender, just as I told you that it is a world. In world you can add your physics. In your physics you have some basic types of physics. What are the basic types of physics? The basic type of physics are movement of fluid or fluids, how soft bodies interact or how hard bodies interact, what are force fields, how the things collide, and when the things collide, how do they interact with each other, how do the cloth interacts with the either its ecosystem or in the region in which it is. So these are all the physics for your world. This is your world. You can create anything you want here. Then you come at object constraint properties. We will discuss them later. So these are the object data properties. This is a very important tab, but you won't be able to understand it unless we are using it. These are the textures. So what is a texture? Let me say that I want this cube to be blue. Let's grab it on Y. Put it here. So we want this cube to be blue. So what we will do is create a text. I'm not teaching you how to texture, I'm just showing you what it does. We create a new texture, you change the base color, and you can change the colors of this thing. You can set it to anything. I think this green and a little darker, dark green is going to be good. After that, this is texture properties. These texture properties are related to your physics. It will be this panel will be helpful to you, or you will be using this panel only when you will be using physics or particles, else this is gonna do nothing for you. So what do we have more here? We have these 4 buttons. So what these 4 buttons do? These change the way you look at your mesh. So what I have done is I have selected this first one. What it is doing, that it is only showing me the boundaries of my object. When I select this one, which says it is the solid view. So in solid view we have the solid view of our mesh. It doesn't show only the corners, but it doesn't even show that how will it look as a finished product. It takes you to the basics and lets you work with the basics only. Then we have this. What this does is it creates light in the scene, and you don't have to add light to work with your texture. So when you are working with textures, it is not always the case that you have added all the light you need in the scene. So you select this mode here, so that you don't have to think about lights right now, and you can only texture your things. Once you have textured your things, you can go to the actual rendered view, and in rendered view you can add lights and see that how will light interact with your object. So these are 4 type of views which you can use inside the viewport. So this was today's lecture, and I hope that you now know that what all these things which are mentioned here mean. It was a very basic lecture. Tomorrow, just the day after today, so today it is what it is for me. Yes, it is Friday 5th for me here, and it is 8:15 p.m. So at almost 8:15 p.m. tomorrow, at Saturday 6th of February, 6th of the March 2021, we will be delivering. I would have delivered to you the 3rd lecture, so you will be able to go through it and learn more. So this was from my side. This was Syed Zeerak Hussai Gillani, and I hope you have learned something about Blender today. There will be no challenge, as there can be no challenge. I can't say you to change these, but I can give you a task today, and the task is that play around with all the things which you see here. Don't get afraid from anything which you see here. If you get anything wrong, just tell me that my Blender is showing this error and I will correct it for you. No need to worry. You all have my WhatsApp number. You are connected with me on Messenger. You can text me anytime and I will respond to you in the best way I can. I didn't discuss these things because these cannot be discussed without actually working with the mesh. So tomorrow we will be working with the mesh and edit mode, and I will be telling you what edit mode actually does. So till tomorrow, that's all from my side. My name is Syed Zeerak Hussai Gillani, and I am the teacher of your Blender Masterclass.